chapter 36. Elihu also proceeded and said, Suffer me a little, and I will tell you, for there are yet words on God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words are not false. One that is upright in mind is with you. Behold, God is mighty, yet he despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth the poor their light. He withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings upon the throne he setteth them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he declareth unto them their work and their transgressions, that they have behaved themselves proudly. He openeth also their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they hearken and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they hearken not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But they that are godless in heart lay up anger. They cry not for help when he bindeth them. Their soul perish in youth, and their life is that of the depraved. He delivereth the afflicted by his affliction, and he openeth the ear by tribulation. Yea, he hath allured you out of distress into a broad place, where there is no straightness. And that which is set on your table is full of fatness. And you are full of judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on them. For beware of wrath, lest you be led away by your sufficiency. Neither let the greatness of the ransom turn you aside. Will your riches avail, that are without stint, or all the forces of your strength? Desire not the night, when peoples are cut off in their place. Take heed, regard not iniquity, for this have you chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God doeth loftily in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who hath enjoined him his way, or who hath said, You have wrought unrighteousness? Remember that you magnify his work, whereof men have sung. All men have looked thereon. Man behold it afar off. Behold, God is great beyond our knowledge. The number of his years is unsearchable. For he draweth away the drops of water, which distil rain from his vapor, which the skies pour down and drop upon the multitudes of men. Yea, can any understand the spreadings of the clouds, the crashings of his pavilion? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and he covereth the depths of the sea. For by these he judges the people. He giveth food in abundance. He covereth his hands with the lightning, and giveth it charge that it strike the mark. The noise thereof telleth concerning it, the cattle also concerning the storm that cometh up. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Yes, in the last chapter, Elihu's he's maybe a young man, but he seems to have quite a bit to say. Elihu is the mighty one himself, is what it means. He is the Butzi, one of those that spring forth from evil. And he's got quite a bit to say. He's going to speak on God's behalf. He's going to speak these words of God and his understanding. Because he stated from the beginning, he just can't hold it back. And he's going to tell us all the judgments of everything that Job already knows. A lot of these other guys have got to say, and mostly he's just talking a lot of wind. But he's come out and he's accused Job. He's made accusations as well against Job. He's saying these things are obvious. Everybody sees them. They're before our face. But in no way has it proven anything. But he is basically called Job an idiot or a stupid. He's not speaking. He's not thinking about everything. But we'll find out. Job's thought it over, and they're all claiming Job's not in his right mind of a sort. Elihu's going to proceed. We're going to pick it up in verse 1. And said, 2, Suffer me a little, and I will tell you, for there are yet words on God's behalf. So Elihu's going to keep talking. He says, now listen just a little more. Let me speak a little more for God. 3, I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. He's going to get his knowledge. He's going to bring it from everywhere he's gathered it up, and he's going to ascribe it all the righteousness, all the goodness, all the justness of it to his Maker, to God. For truly my words are not false, and one that is upright in mind is with you. For truly now these words, or my words, are not false. The one that is upright in mind is with you, and there is one is upright, or to be correct in his mind, or to be correct in his understanding, is with you. Behold, 5, God is mighty, yet he despises not any. He is mighty in strength of understanding. And everybody can look and see. We all know God is mighty, and he doesn't despise any. Because, and what this is God's not a respecter of person. God doesn't care who you are. God doesn't look on the outside. We will find, like most men do. But and this is really what these guys are doing. They're sitting here, and they're basically saying these things are evident, but one thing is they're taking an awful physical look at Job, and accusing Job of because he's brought back to his poverty. 6, he preserves not the life of the wicked, but gives to the poor their right. He doesn't preserve the life of the wicked. Well, no. But gives the poor their right, or their poor is this code, this understanding, this values that they have to, and we'll find out to, because they have to stay correct before Lord. But now the wicked, those that oppress, those that do otherwise, we'll find out the wicked are just those that don't listen to God. They don't observe God's understanding. And they pervert it for gain. 7, he withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings upon the throne he setteth them forever, and they are exalted. God doesn't look away from the righteous, and here Elihu's basically saying Job's claimed to be righteous, but hey, look at him, he's there in all of his punishment. And this is, we'll find out, he's the adversary sitting there. He's coming against Job. He's trying to make all this case against Job too. It's kind of like a little court here. But God takes the righteous and he sets them upon thrones just like he does kings, and they sit there forever. He exalts them. God lifts them up. We'll find out. He makes an example out of them. 8, and if they be bound in fetters and be holden in cords of affliction. But now, if they are, if those righteous ones are in cords, bound in affliction, see, then they are withheld by God. They are bound up by God. God is punishing them. See, 9. Then he declares unto them their work and their transgressions, that they have behaved themselves proudly. He declares to them their work, see, and the righteous understand this. The just understand this before God, because they know where righteousness comes from. It comes from God. And if they're bound up, then this tells them, hey, we're in captivity. God's made this example many times throughout the book, using Israel as that example, see, captivity, redemption, captivity, redemption, over and over and over and over. It's the understanding, see, that we're looking for. It's what brings you to the captivity. And he declares to them their work. See, that you have behaved yourselves proudly. You've exalted yourselves. You lifted yourselves up. God didn't. You should have allowed God to do these things. But when we exalt ourselves, or when we try to make people think that we're somebody we're not, with the eyes they see and live inwardly as another, you have to learn to be yourself, in other words. 10. He openeth also the ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. He opens all the ears to discipline. God does, see. And this ear to discipline, self-discipline. See, he teaches you how to discipline yourself, to bring you to understanding, see, commanding you to return from iniquity, commanding you to return from your perversions. 11. If they hearken and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. And if they will hearken, if they will listen, and we're still talking about the righteous, see, those ones that have gone astray, those just ones, those ones that God speaks to, saying, return from your perversions, so that they will live their days in prosperity. If they return, if they hearken, if they listen, and serve him, and do according to the law he give you on your own in your own heart. No one has to give it to you. It's the law, and we can all agree on that law. See, that's the covenant. That's the covenant. That's what the law is. It's a covenant. It's an agreement that we agree upon. 12. But if they hearken not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But if they hearken not, if they don't listen, if the righteous don't listen, if the just ones won't listen, they shall perish by the sword. And that sword, we know, is that which strikes through, it pierces. It's in the end, it's the word. See, and it's the words enough to do it. The actual sword is really not necessary. They shall die without knowledge, and to die without knowledge is to be ignorant, to have no understanding of these things. 13. But they that are godless in heart lay up anger. They cry not for help when he bindeth them. But these that are godless in heart, those that are godless in their understanding, and this doesn't necessarily mean you are without idol. They are godless, though, and we're going to compare. There's a comparison here to these that are godless in heart. There's a difference in those that are just. They are godless in their understandings, and they lay up anger. They want to blame it on everything else in the earth. They cry not out for help when he binds them up. When God does these things, and God brings them into their portion of his wrath, their rightful recompense, and we're going to see that there's the division here in recompense. 14. Their soul perishes in youth, and their life is that of the depraved. Their soul, all their inwardness even, their understanding, their knowledge, all their wisdom, it perishes in youth. It dies, I mean, in its youth. And youth is a good time. It's great strength. There's vigor, but we'll find out the lack of wisdom, or these abilities to gain understanding and use it, are limited. And their life is that of the depraved, like they've been held back from. Something has denied them. This word here, the word is kadesh. And what the kadesh is it comes from the word kadash, and it refers to that which is separated. It's not holy. It's going to be that which is separated because of its uncleanness. 15. He delivers the afflicted by his affliction, and opens the ear by tribulation. God does. He delivers the afflicted. Those that are being afflicted, or this word should be oppressed, those that are being oppressed by his oppression, or by what God's trying to turn them by. And he opens their ear to tribulation, by trouble. They should say, well, God's trying to tell me something, is what Elihu's saying. 16. Yea, he hath allured you out of distress into a broad place where there is no straightness. But yea, he has allured you out of distress, and we're talking to Job, into this broad place. And what he's saying, he's taken you from there, that place where he was trying to teach you, and to this word distress here is he's taken you from your trouble, brought you out of it into this broad place, into a place where there is it's made wide. There's going to be much, and we're going to find out. And that which is set on your table is full of fatness. And Job did have a lot, and God had, and Elihu's saying this is part of it. This is part of it, and this is the way God works. 17. And you art full of judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on them. And you, he's accusing Job, art full of judgment you of the wicked. You're showing these things, and we see all these things in you, Job, is what Elihu's saying. Wolf accusing him. Judgment and justice have taken hold on them, and we see the judgment and the justice have taken hold on them. 18. For beware of wrath, lest you be led away by your sufficiency. Neither let the greatness of the ransom turn you aside. Beware of wrath, beware of anger, this God's wrath, lest you be led away by your sufficiency, lest you be deceived by all you have, thinking you're righteous because of all this stuff that you have. And this is where he's telling you, maybe you thought all your worldly goods was your righteousness or the rewards of your righteousness. Beware, though, we'll find out, lest you be led away by this, lest you begin to exalt yourself according to all the earthly things that you might have, thinking that this is what makes you righteous. Neither let the greatness of the ransom turn you aside, or that which would be paid. We'll find out it would be a great price paid for you. 19. Will your riches avail that are without stint, or all the forces of your strength? Will your riches avail that are without stint? Stint insinuates that it has the ability to stay. But what this is all these riches that you have, your riches, will they win in the end? What are they going to do for you? See, the wealth, and this is the wealth of the world. What's it going to do for you? What good is it when it's not really gold? That's not what gold is. See, understanding or wisdom is the true gold. That's the ability to use your knowledge that you gained from your understanding, which God gave you in the beginning. That's the law or the Torah. 20. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place. Desire not the night. Don't long for the darkness. For that's where people are cut off. That's where people don't look towards that and wait for that. 21. Take heed, regard not iniquity, for this have you chosen rather than affliction. Take heed. Anytime we hear take heed, we can just about listen, and take a warning. A heed is a warning. It's regard not iniquity. Regard not perversion. Don't go towards perversion. Don't choose perversion. For this have you chosen rather than affliction, rather than oppression. There's two different miseries here, whether you turn to the left or turn to the right. See, and we'll find out. Job has made this statement. That's why Job's standing still, and he's questioning the whole thing before he moves forward. Job knows God's on his left or God's on his right. No matter which way he turns, Job has done perceived these things. 22. Behold, God doeth loftily in his power. Who is a teacher like him? God does do loftily in his power. God acts high in his understanding. He is the great teacher. He is the teacher. And the teacher said even in the beginning, you shall have no other teacher but me. 23. Who hath enjoined him his way? Or who hath said, you have wrought unrighteousness? Now, who hath enjoined him his way? Who has given him his way? Who gave him his way? Or who said, you've worked unrighteousness? Or you've done that which wasn't good? Or you've done that which was evil? How can you say that all the work for does some good in some way? If it does good, then where's the evil in it? 24. Remember that you magnify his work whereof men have sung. Remember that you magnify his work. You make his work known. You're the one he's got the magnifying glass on, and you're the one going out magnifying his work. You're making it known, is what Elihu's saying to Job. That's the whereof men have sung. Men have talked about this for generations and generations. And they've related sin directly to oppression. They've related sin directly to poverty or perversions. 25. All men have looked thereon. Man beholdeth it afar off. All men have looked on it. They understand these things. Men behold it afar off. It's well known. 26. Behold, God is great, beyond our knowledge. The number of his years is unsearchable. God is great. It is beyond our knowledge. There's nobody going to argue with these facts. His number of his years is unsearchable. God, it makes himself known from generation to generation. From generation unto generation, God makes himself known. The number of his years, even the greater understandings that he has, every generation, is unsearchable. 27. For he draweth away the drops of water, which distill rain from his vapor. For he is the one that draws away the water, these drops of water, just like the sun that pulls the water out of the sea. God set all these things in course for his example. And it distills the rain from his vapor, like the dew even. 28. Which the skies pour down and drop upon the multitudes of men. Which all this that is above, these clouds, all these understandings, this knowledge, the wisdom, it pours down, it drops upon the multitudes of men. Because God doesn't. God causes it to rain. God brings understanding. God brings knowledge. 29. Yea, can any understand the spreadings of the clouds, the crashings of his pavilion? Can anybody understand the spreadings of the clouds, how it all works, why the circuit of it is how it is, how the water falls on the earth, it goes to its course, to the streams, to the creeks, to the rivers, to the ocean, and returns by its way, or the crashings of his pavilions, these thunderings of his tabernacle. This word pavilion here is your sukkah, your tabernacle from his place, that temporary abode that he is in. 30. Behold, he spreads his light upon it, and he covers the depths of the sea. Behold, he spreads his light upon it. God, it's for his understanding. He takes it for his understanding, teaches us that his knowledge, and he covers the depths of the sea. And he hides them therein, these depths, and all the waters of the sea. That's all that which is salted. 31. For by these he judges the people. He gives food in abundance. And by these, God judges the people. He separates them. God does as he wills. God, he feeds them. And he uses it for food. It's in abundance. God does it because, see, it's all his place. 32. He covers his hands with the lightning and gives it charge that it strikes the mark. He covers, he hides his hands, his works, even, in the lightning. The lightning is like a flash of light, and it's like a little bit of understanding. It goes forth real quick, and it's lightning. See, this is lightning, and he gives it charge that it strikes its mark. It does what its purpose was when it goes forth. 33. The noise thereof telleth concerning it, and the cattle also concerning the storm that comes up. The noise of it, the noise, and that's the thunder, the thunderings of those understandings that go forth. They tell concerning it, they tell, and what they're telling is there's a storm coming. The cattle also concerning the storm that comes. The cattle, and that's all those that can be led. The cattle are those that can be led. They can tell. They know when the storm's coming. We're going to move forward. Chapter 37. turn and return.